Good evening, all of you. Welcome back to Ansarkari, and I hope that you all must be doing great. So, let's start with our today's discussion for 17th of December. So, on the front page, we see that our PM lays stress on peace in phone call with Putin. So, he says that he reiterated the requirement for peace and diplomacy to tide over the crisis in Ukraine. So, as of now, India has not come up with any official statement on the Russia Ukraine war, and a Prime Minister is laying stress on restoring peace. Then, moving ahead. Okay, so Wayanad, that is in the state of Kerala. So it is celebrating a rice festival and basically to promote the climate resilient crops. So this is the keyword, climate resilient crops, and it is being promoted by a Kerala based organization which is Thanal, and it has embarked on a unique conservation experiment which is planting 300 climate resilient varieties of traditional rice. So I repeat, there are 300 climate resilient varieties of traditional rice. And today we are talking about GM crops. So why to shift on GM crops when we have such such a huge number of varieties, that too they are traditional, and we'll be talking about what are the advantages of these traditional varieties over the new modern technology derived varieties. So in this picture you can see the aerial view of the field on which these 300 rice varieties they have been cultivated. So you can see the difference in their colors, and this initiative aims to sensitize people to the significance of conserving traditional crops that have the ability to withstand harsh climatic conditions. So, the first benefit is itself that they are climate resilient crops, and given the climate crisis, obviously they are going to benefit us. And many farmers they had stopped cultivating the traditional rice seeds after the availability of hybrid rice varieties in the market, and under the misconception that the former, that is the traditional rice varieties, they have low productivity, but that is not true. So that is obviously one thing that we see after, especially after the green revolution, such high yielding variety seeds are available. Then there are GM seeds also. So moreover, the input cost of these traditional rice cultivation is also very low, and also they have inherent resistance to pests and diseases, and they also have high nutritional value. So we are getting all the benefits in our traditional varieties, so why are we shifting towards the GM crop, the GM varieties, when we also have the threat that they can pose to the human health? So that's why this is one thing that we should again focus more upon, and also we should connect now like more things with the traditional the tribal knowledge. So that is also one thing that we need to emphasize upon. And let's move ahead. So five agricultural products of Kerala, they have been given the GI tag. So we can see them in the pictures. There are five products, and their names are written, and basically I'll be just telling you that it is beans, red gram, sesame, garlic, and snap melon. So they have been given the GI tag for the unique features of agroclimatic conditions of the geographical area of their production, and that is the basis of giving them the GI tag. So let's move ahead. So talking about countering terrorism, there are basically four hurdles that have been highlighted by our external affairs minister. That includes four hurdles to better counter terrorism cooperation. So the first is state support for financing terror, then multilateral mechanisms that are opaque and agenda driven. Then another challenge is double standards and politicization of countering terrorism. So these are the current challenges when we talk about countering terrorism and its containing its spread. And also China, it continues to block the designation of Pakistan based terrorists. So that is the case. And Talking about the Turkey's attack on the Syrian Kurds. So Turkey recently attacked Syria's Kurdish towns, and its threat of a ground invasion could destabilize the border region. And Turkey it has reportedly asked the YPG group to withdraw from the key towns on border, which are Manjib, Tel Rifat, and Kobane. So you can find out their location on the map also. And also you should be knowing, you should be like very well aware about the geography of that region of the countries like Syria, Turkey, Israel. And soon has threatened to launch another cross-border incursion into Syria if the YPG it failed to withdraw from the region. Also, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan he wants to create a buffer zone between the YPG controlled towns in Syria and Turkey's own Kurdish territories. So it would lead to creation of a buffer zone between the two countries, that is Turkey and Syria, and where the state has been fighting the PKK also. So Ankara, that is the capital of Turkey, it sees the YPG as an ideological and organizational brother of the PKK, and which it has designated along with the US and European countries as a terrorist organization. So that is, we can say the stand of Turkey. And obviously we know that there is no winner in a war, even when we talk about the war between Russia and Ukraine, or even here in Turkey. So we need to find a workable solution to stabilize the region, to restore peace and order. And talking about, according to you, what should be, or how the we can say what should be the shape of a great media product, how are you going to define it in using certain keywords? So firstly would be that it should be objective in nature. Second, it should have, that is, media should have the courage to be critical, or we can say positively critical, positively and constructively critical, and it should be credible also. So these are the three things which should be visible in a great media product: objective, courage to criticize, and be credible. Then China, it is expanding model villages in the strategic border areas. So these villages they are close to the line of actual control, opposite to the state of Uttarakhand, Sikkim, and Arunachal Pradesh, including in the Chumbi Valley. So find out the location of Chumbi Valley, which faces the strategically crucial Siliguri corridor. So that is there. And obviously China is leading to certain infrastructural development activities around the border areas. And yes, we are keeping an eye on such activities, ensuring there is no violation. Then India is likely to post highest percentage rise in the coal usage. So we see that India is projected to add the largest percentage increase in coal use in the coming year globally, ahead of China and the European Union, which has been reported by the International Energy Agency. So here you should be knowing more about the Energy Agency, and India is expected to increase the use of coal by 7% over the previous year. So we are seeing increased usage of coal, given our commitment for climate change, our climate crisis, given our commitment for energy transition, for increasing our reliance more upon the renewable energy. But what we are seeing as of now is that our dependence on coal is gradually increasing, and it stands at about 70 million tons. So we have talked about that there is, as of now, there is no, we can say, absolute or complete alternative to coal. However, we can shift more towards using cleaner coal, and we can explore more when it comes to technological development, which is going to help reduce the, we can say, the mining cost of coal in India, because we have enough reserves of coal, but we lack in the technological area. So that's why the input cost, or we can say the extraction cost, is high, and because of that we are importing coal, and obviously that is negative for our BOP account as well. So that is there, and that is the only option. And apart from that, obviously we are trying to bring in more investment. We are more trying to set up more projects when it comes to renewable energy also. So that is what is the trend that we are seeing in coal usage. Then we'll be talking about China and what is Japan planning when it comes to the growing threat from China. So Japan, the Japanese government, it has vowed to increase the defense spending to 2% of GDP by 2027 and reshape its military command and acquire new missiles that can strike far-flung enemy launch sites. So obviously this is in the context of the rising threat from China, and China also sends ships into the Pacific amid the Japan's moves. So you should be knowing about the location of the Osumi Strait and the Miyako Strait. Then it has again launched a missile attack on Ukraine, and let's see how things are going to settle down into a more peaceful environment. And talking about the news on business page, we see that crude oil imports, they rose 52.6% in the period April to November this year. And we also see that the coal and the coke imports, they have almost doubled. So looking at certain more trends, we see that gold imports, they fell by 18% this year, while electronics, chemicals, and vegetable oil, they posted double-digit growth when it comes to imports. And exports of engineering goods, plastics, and cotton yarn, they have like registered a negative growth. So the exports have declined, and obviously, like we have discussed in detail about the declining exports of India and what are the concerns, and then what are the alternatives, which sectors are performing strongly. And also talking about our trade deficit, so it has widened to around $24 billion. And when we compare this trade deficit with the previous period, we see that it has narrowed down. And earlier it was at approximately $27 billion. Now it has narrowed down to $24 billion. So, and this is one of the lowest since May this year. And this is on account of fall in the commodity prices, which can further, when like if inflation cools down further, so obviously the trade deficit is going to narrow down further, and obviously that is going to aid our currency also. So let's take up the Financial Express now. So in Financial Express, first we'll be taking up, according to you, what should be the key elements when we talk about our next 25 years template for our Indian economy. So obviously we should be focusing more upon increasing the capital expenditure and reducing our revenue expenditure, basically rationalizing more of our revenue expenditure. And the next element should be a cut in fiscal deficit. Obviously, that should be done, and focusing more upon, we can say, fiscal consolidation. Thirdly, we should focus more upon lowering the corporate tax rate to 15% for like new manufacturing units. And also, right now, India, it is like it stands at the value of Indian economy or the Indian GDP right now is $3 trillion, and we have the potential to reach up till $30 trillion by 2047. That is the year when we'll be celebrating 100 years of independence. So we can say there is like there's a potential to multiply 10 times in the next 25 years. So that is what we have as our strength. And we see that the windfall tax on crude, diesel, and jet fuel has been slashed. So that is, we can say, a kind of a relief. And we see that Okay, so today there was a GST Council meeting, so we'll be looking at it tomorrow. What were the results of the GST Council? And basically, we are focusing more upon efficient GST administration, increasing the efficiency. And there are two suggestions that we were talking about what like new things should be taken upon, or what are the reforms that are required when we talk about the GST. So the first one is decriminalization of the offenses, and second is setting up the structure or finalizing the structure of the GST appellate tribunal on the agenda, which is obviously was the agenda of the GST Council. And they are both these steps, they are administrative in nature, and they both are critical and crucial to improving the ease of doing business and also cutting the litigation. Then currently looking at the what are the current provisions to deal with GST offenses. So we see that under section 69 of the GST Act, it grants the power to arrest a person for certain offenses which are outlined under section 132. So what are those offenses? And some of these offenses, they are bailable and some of them are non-bailable, having jail terms. So looking at what are the offenses, so the first one is the supply of any goods or services or both without issuing any invoice, or we can say bill, and with an intention to evade tax. Second offense is issue of any invoice or bill without actual supply of goods or services with the intent to take input tax credit, because we have been witnessing such instances where things are happening in this manner. Third offense is fraudulent use of the input tax credit without any invoice or a bill. Fourth is failure to pay the tax to the government 3 months after collecting it. And fifth is other evasions of tax or obtaining refunds fraudulently. Last one is the falsification of the financial records or producing of fake accounts or documents. So these are the offenses, and there are obviously powers to arrest the accused person. And talking about till the tax amount, so when we talk about the specific amount, so till the tax amount involved in the offense is up to rupees 5 crore, all the offenses, they are bailable. And supply without invoice with the intention to evade tax, or issue of any invoice without actual supply of goods and services, and fraudulent use of the input tax credit without any invoice, and failure to pay the tax 3 months after collecting it. They're non-bailable if the tax amount exceeds rupees 5 crore. Then there are other offenses also which are bailable even if the amount exceeds rupees 5 crore. So that's how we have categorized the offenses as bailable and non-bailable. So this becomes important for PT. And obviously, there's a demand for setting up the GST appellate authority. So, right now, when it comes to filing appeals, so there is Commissioner of Appeal who continues to be the last resort within the setup for appeals against the tax orders, and any appeal against the CAs, that is the Commissioner of Appeals decisions, they must be filed with the high courts. So that is the current way how things are functioning. And looking at the news of oil seeds, so area under oil seeds at record level, and wheat pulses also, we see that the sowing is up, it is increased. So obviously with increase in oilseed production, that is definitely going in, like that is definitely going to help us in reducing our edible oil imports, would be helping in reducing our trade deficit, would be helping our BOP account, would be helping in saving our forex reserves, would be helping in controlling the prices. And obviously, these are the benefits that we can say, or we can talk about when we say that the if the domestic production increasing, it is going to increase, what are going to be the potential benefits out of it. So that is the thing. And obviously our, we can say the edible oil sector would be more resilient because it would be less dependent upon the foreign imports. So that is the thing. And also when we look at wheat, so there are 5 key producing states, which are Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, and Rajasthan. So you should be knowing about this also. And talking about pulses, so the government, it is thinking about, importing pulses from new countries, new suppliers. So that is going to basically broad the base of importing the pulses imports, especially the tur, urad, and masoor, to reduce the forex outgo. Basically, obviously, when we are importing the goods and services, we have to do payment in the foreign exchange, and that is there. So global availability in the coming year is expected to be better with an increase in production expected from Myanmar. So you should be knowing that Myanmar is one of the largest producer of pulses. And also we are seeing that sowing intentions in the African countries indicate increase in area coverage under the pulses. So that is, we can say, one new potential opportunity for us. And the production, talking about the domestic production of pulses, so the production in the year 2021-22 crop year, that is from July to June, was at a record level of, we can say, approximately 28 million ton. And out of the total production of pulses, the chana, that is gram, it has a share of 50%, and the country largely imports tur, urud, and masoor. So we basically import these three varieties, and chana forms 50% of the share when it comes to the domestic production. Then government, it has also put tur and urad dal under free import regime. So basically, free import regime here means that there are no quantitative restrictions imposed on the imports of these two varieties of pulses. So that is the thing. And thank you for joining in, Sarkari. Thank you for watching today's video. I hope you have understood something new from today's video, and will be coming up tomorrow. So you will be able to find the link of the PDF also in the description box. And do not forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the like button. And thank you so much.